turn this off right away if you
Mhm.
want, but do you want
Yeah.
to share about your surviving sexual abuse?
Sure, I'm willing to do that.
Okay.
It's one of those things, I think I get defensive when people make fun of repressed memories or whatever it's called when you remember later,
Mm-hmm.
because I had that experience myself of not knowing until later. I mean, having images as a kid of this event, but not knowing what they were or when they happened, and then later in life remembering, where the image actually happened and how old I was. So I don't know if a psychologist would call that repressed memory or what, but it emerged. The memory of it evolved over time, and so at 5 and 6, I would have an image of a penis in my mouth in a very closed room with this old man who wore a green visor, because I don't know, people used to wear these things that were just a band around and a visor.
Oh, yes.
And this man wore one of those. And he was the father of a neighbor in Harlingen, Texas, who babysat me while my mother worked at the Harlingen Army Gunnery School. That was, it was during World War II, because it was 1943 or 4. And in Texas, we didn't have central heating then. We had these individual room heaters that were natural gas, and a flame would come up in the bottom, and then it would heat heating bricks in the back. And so I had that image of this penis in my mouth, this man with a visor, and this stove, and it came to me periodically. And at the same time, I developed a weird anxiety disorder that I couldn't catch a deep breath. And that happened a lot. I mean, when I was 5, 7, 10, 12, well into my 20s. And then I remembered the whole thing. I mean, I put it together. I learned about sexual abuse and child molestation, and then it became clearer, and I remembered more clearly who it was, when it was, and I never came out to my parents about it, but I asked them questions that gave me information, like, when did this person keep me? Did they have an old, a father that lived with them? Those kinds of things to hone in. My therapist always wanted me to tell my parents, and I just never could tell them. But anyway, it was an emerging memory, so I get very defensive when people make fun of repressed memory because I had it.
And so you had these images, and you kind of put it together through questions you asked your parents.
Yeah.
And then so you're sharing this now.
Mm-hmm.
So did you share it with, that would be then your husband Jerry?
No, I did not share it with my husband Jerry, but I have shared it with, all my friends and partners and girlfriends and so forth since then. I probably discovered it at about age 30.
Is it something you think about every day?
Not every day, but I think whenever any discussion of sexuality comes up, I think because
Of just sexuality, not just any discussion of sexuality.
Just
this
about
comes up.
because if it's a discussion where we're being personal and we're talking about our own sexuality, it is tied to my sexuality and thoughts about my sexuality.
I see.
Yeah, and feelings about it, and my history, sexually. I have associated the two.
And
Some of my backwardness, some of my fears, some of my not masturbating, not feeling real comfortable with my body, some of those things I think are associated.
I see. Thank you.
Yeah.